Alrighty, thank you for joining me and welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and once again, this is the second video now. We just came off the heels of the Willet Bourbon there. This is the second video that I'm shooting in this batch shoot. I think what we're going to do is focus on the bourbon and rye that I have. We'll save the smoky Islas for another time. And once again, I just got out of the mountains like 3 days ago. From hunting for 12 days for elk during elk season, so that went incredibly well, so yay for that. But hence the rather haggard look and appearance that I got my, I call them my mandibles or my Wolverine I don't know, chops or whatever. That for some reason my facial hair, when it starts to grow right here, it kind of grows and twists out, and I get these little tufts that just kind of stick out here. So yeah, anyways, so sorry for that. I need to groom myself here in the next 48 hours before heading back to go see family due to a death in the family. So all that aside, you guys don't care. That's not what this channel's about, although it is Life and Whiskey, and originally was meant to talk about life, and we will do more of that, especially on BitChute and Minds. But on YouTube, whatever, we'll forget that. But today's whiskey, we are going to look at Woodford Reserve Double Oak. And this I picked up here locally, again at a store that was not in this town. Crapola, now I gotta find it in my list here of bourbons. Woodford. There we go. Woodford Reserve Double Oak, $44.69. It's a Brown-Forman Woodford product. It is 45.2% ABV, 90.4 proof. Bourbon finished in new, heavily toasted, lightly charred barrels. So what they do is they take it from one barrel, which I believe is a heavily charred barrel, and then they finish it. No, sorry. They take it and they do, I think, like I said, number 3 or number 4 char. They do a heavy char. They do their normal aging process. I think they age it for 6 years. Again, I'm making all of this up, as I did not read through this, but at least I haven't read through it recently, so I'm going off of memory. I believe they do it for 6 years, or maybe it's 5 years and change, in a standard aging process that they do for their Woodford Distillers Reserve. And then they take it and they put it in a new barrel to finish it, and then that finishing barrel is heavily toasted / charred, so you're kind of meeting that point between a toast, a heavy toast, and a number 1 char. The lower the char level, so like if it's toasted or if it's a number 1 or number 2 char, so the lighter the toast, or the lighter the char number or the toast number, the more tannic and woolly and oaky barrel impact you're going to have. The heavier the char, the more you are caramelizing and cooking those sugars in the wood, and that's going to bring in those more sweet vanillas, caramels that you get out of a barrel. And then also the entry proof, so whatever proof you put the whiskey into the barrel at, that also is going to impact the level of sweetness that you get out of a barrel. So it cannot, for bourbon, you cannot put it into a barrel at higher than 125 proof. Now, I know some of you are saying, hey, so I've seen cask strengths that are 130, 140 proof. What happens with those is it's in a climate, typically a dry climate, where as that barrel ages, the angel share that is coming out of that barrel is going to be water, and so that water that evaporates out is going to drive up the proof, on that barrel. Now you can go the other direction with it too, and where you don't actually get an angel's share so much as you actually get more volume. So things that are along wet climates along the coast, or just an area where it's higher humidity, tend to absorb more of the water because alcohol absorbs water. And so what you end up getting is a lower proof at that point. So you might put it in at 110 or 115 and pull it out, and it'll only be in the upper 90s, or 100, 101, 102, something like that. So there's something to keep in mind when you're looking at different ways of finishing or different proofs, especially as you're going into cask strength things. But typically for bourbons, especially in Kentucky, what most people are kind of entering into are that 110 to 115 category, unless they want something with more oakiness, more oak flavor. So even at like number 4 char, a pretty heavy char, if you put it in at that 120 to 125 proof range, you're going to pull out more of those astringent barrel tannin flavors out of that oak. You'll also get more of, if you watch some of my other reviews, you'll see I'll say it tastes like you're chewing on an oak stave. That oakiness, like if you were at a table saw and cutting fresh chunks of oak for trim or something like that, that oak smell that you get often comes through in the flavor, typically at that higher entry proof, but also at the lower toast and char levels. Okay, so there's different ways to get different flavors. So if you want something sweet, you want something that's going to be entering that barrel at 110, 115. That's kind of the average that most distilleries are putting it in at, especially the big guys, because most people's palates world round want those sweeter flavors, those vanillas, those caramels. The peanut flavors, apple, cherry, those types of notes really come forward at that lower proof. And then also the type of oak, so French oak in particular is going to add also that more astringent oak flavor, a little bit spicy, tannic note in there as well, whereas American white oak tends to bring more of those vanillas and caramels as well. So there you go, there's a little blah about stuff. I don't know, you can look more into that if you want, but anyways, getting back to this, I know I already said this, but we'll bring it back around. Woodford Reserve Double Oak, $44.69 here locally in Wyoming. So because of the process, and I have tried this before, and look at the color. I mean, the color is really, really dark, even though they're not really aging it. I don't remember if it's like they age it for 6 years and then it's like 3 or 4 months in a new barrel, or if they age it for 5 years and change and then finish it to get it to that 6-year mark in a finishing barrel. I don't remember, but it's something along those lines. And so I do expect this to have more oak impact with that toast. And also I find, like with my Pine Bluff experiment here, that with the heavier char you get less color to start with, but over time it develops. And that toasted wood along with that lower char level tend to bring more of a heavy dark color right out of the gate for some reason. So anyways, on the nose, I definitely get brown sugar, but it's kind of a dry brown sugar. It's not very deep and rich. It's not tending towards molasses or anything like that. There's a light, very, very, very light floral component kind of tucked in the back. And you get kind of a rich, sweet, the more I'm mixing this around, the more that floral component's coming forward. But you get more of a rich, I don't know how to describe this. If you were to take oak, like an oak plank, sand it down, and you get that smell of oak with just a touch of burnt, like say you left the sander in the spot for too long, or if you have a dull saw blade that's cutting through your oak plank and it kind of burns it a little bit, take that smell and mix it with brown sugar. Getting a little bit of that out of the nose. So there's a little bit of char in there. But it's mostly sweet, like, it's mostly, it's kind of a weird thing. So it's like brown sugar, but it's not tending towards caramel. Let's just say it. Not caramel or molasses. It's not a very dense sweetness. It's not a candied sweetness. And that floral or cherry is really starting to pop now that I'm letting it open up a little bit. On the taste. It's different than I remember tasting, but it is got a sweetness up front, like a sweet fruit cherry, but that sweet cherry just has this tannic astringency start to finish, and the finish is dry, dries out your tongue like a dry white wine would. You get a bit of a barrel impact there, and there is a sweetness, but it's not a sugary candy sweetness. It's like those carbonated waters that have flavor, but no sweetener in them, no sugar, no aspartame, no nothing. So you can taste the flavor, but it's not a sugary sweet flavor. This is a dumb way to say that, but it's that for sugar. So it's a sweetness, but not that much. Or if you take and make a tea, like a black tea that has that astringency in it, and you put in like 1 teaspoon of sugar into a 16-ounce glass, you can taste that there's a touch of sugar in there, but it's not enough to sweeten anything up really. That's what I'm kind of getting on that finish. The oak definitely is taking over on the palate. The astringency of it, I'm going to assume that's that toasted barrel really kicking in. Toasted barrel, light char, whatever you want to call it. The nose is switched over to a floral cherry with hints of oak, no real sweet notes. Really, no matter where I smell from. Even doing rectal nasal, it's not really opening up too much. Second sip. Ooh, second sip went way, way, way more astringent up front. Yeah, really, really dry on the palate. Really, really astringent. Bitter. Like, squeeze the tea bag out. Bitter on the taste in the middle. And oddly enough, kind of towards the tail end of the bitterness, you pick up a sweet brown sugar flavor. So, imagine you have this much, tea in a glass, and you let that tea bag sit in there for a couple of hours, and then you come, put the glass down, you go away, go do something, and come back a couple hours later and just go, I might as well finish that and drink it, and you get that really, really bitter, but there's touch of sweet because it was sweet tea to start with, flavor in there. That's what I'm getting out of this. It's pretty astringent. You gotta really like oak impact if you're gonna enjoy this bottle. It's definitely something that would stand up to being on the rocks, or something that if you were eating something. Now, to me, I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. If I eat something that is spicy or acidic, it tends to bring the ethanol and the astringency of any whiskey I drink out. So sometimes I'll come down and I'll drink a Lefroy or some really smoky Isla after a meal. And if I've had black pepper or any kind of spiciness in that food, the smoke almost disappears completely, and I get this weird astringent oakiness from a barrel that I almost never find in whiskeys like that, unless I'm in that circumstance. I think this is kind of the same thing, so it would be good to pair with something, but you definitely are not going to want to pair it with something that is high in acidity or high in spice, which technically would be acidity as well. So there you go. There's my thoughts on this Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Man, it just keeps getting more and more cherry in the glass. It's kind kind of interesting, but the depth and bitiness of that astringent oak it's a bit much. So I'm gonna say I'm not a huge fan of it standalone, but I can definitely see a place where that would be nice. I think it would hold up really, really well to a deck sitting evening and a cigar. I think those would kind of couple together very, very nicely, along with a meal, probably on the rocks or something like that. But you got to be a fan of oak to really, really appreciate this. Again, Woodford Reserve Double Oak, here locally in Wyoming for $44.69. I know I've seen it as high as in the 50s and 60s, even locally. Go ahead, if you're enjoying this content, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and even if not, just go ahead and think about dropping a comment down below. That always helps me out a little bit here, and if you guys follow the Whiskey Tribe at all, again, it's September. They said on their last couple of videos they're not going to be accepting donations for whiskey. So here's my plea. Even though I have an extremely small following and I know almost nobody is looking at my channel, if you do feel the need to donate a whiskey that I haven't reviewed yet and you'd be interested in hearing my take on it, go ahead, get in touch with me. We'll figure out a way to make that happen, and I'd be happy to take donations of any sorts, anything from the little 50 mils all the way up to whatever. I'm not relying on that to make this whole thing happen, but you know what, if you feel the need or want to, I'd be happy and I would accept any donation with a smile. So there's that. I've also been commenting on that on the Whiskey Tribe, or the Whiskey Vault, guys. So Daniel Rex, if for some reason you ever see this, sorry, yeah, I'm playing the mooch here, because why not? I've got a lot of money invested in stuff, and so, it would be nice to maybe get a little handout, but on the other hand, not necessary. But drop in the comments down below where you can find a bottle of Woodford Reserve Double Oak for in your area. Again, my whole goal, along with building some knowledge about different varieties and helping you maybe find or avoid bottles that you might not like, saving you some money, is to have a collection of prices for different regions so that people can look up stuff. So if you would please, if you think of it, I'm not asking you to go out to the store and, start writing stuff down. I do personally start taking pictures of stuff when I'm walking through the stores just so I can price compare to other stores, and also when I'm traveling, then I can say, well, I can get it cheaper at home, or, this is a much better deal, I'll buy it here. I encourage you to do that as well. If you're actually into price, I'm a tight ass, so price matters to me, especially when you're buying this much whiskey. But also, I just like getting a good deal on things as well. So something to consider there. But if you drop in the comments down below what you can find a bottle for, anyways, I was hoping to build a library of price, region or state, so that other people could be well informed as well. So as always, thanks for watching. Greatly appreciate it. Have yourselves a great day. Check me out on life_and_whiskey on minds.com, or on bitchute.com at LifeandWhiskey, and perhaps coming in the future, Rumble as well. And you guys have yourselves a great day, and we'll catch you in the next video.